You see, The View is on hiatus. The View is on hiatus, and they let that one slip. Remember? Recently, before they took their August break, and what has come out is that people don't actually think The View's coming back. Certainly not. Rosie O'Donnell, thank you for the nice compliment. Ciao, Kung Cat. I appreciate it. Beautiful scenery, right? Absolutely beautiful. You know, guys, the sun just came out behind me here. It was not on earlier. So great to have you all here. This is a big story. The View getting a cancellation notice of sorts from none other than Rosie O'Donnell. So let me explain. Rosie O'Donnell worked on the show. Apparently she worked on it twice. I knew that she had worked once, but apparently she did 2 rounds as a View host. So she kind of knows. I've said this all along that they're going to cancel the thing, and I know that because I've worked at enough networks. I kind of know how this stuff goes down. And Rosie, this might be the one and only time she and I actually agree on something. Now, the motivation behind why they're canceling the show, that's actually something that we do dispute, because she thinks it's entirely, of course, because everything's Trump's fault, right? Like everything. She thinks it's all his fault. I actually think it has more to do with the economics and the changing media landscape that's going on. It's a little bit also just a prophecy of their own doing, because they were so strident and so one way for so long that it took its toll on the viewers. So the viewers don't really trust them, but that's not Trump's fault. Anyway, here's Rosie, just so you get to see. Oh gosh, I'm going to really have to move in close if I'm going to see this, or I can pull it up a little bit on my phone here, because she's just out for blood, effectively. Rosie O'Donnell, who I never got to see in Ireland. Gosh darn it. Her loss. Silencing the View. You know what I just read today? She writes, and this is on TikTok that she writes this. ABC is reviewing the liberal bias on The View. The View. The show with 5 women speaking she's got a typo in there. She means their own opinions. That's the threat now. They say they're not canceling it. They're just, quote, reviewing the bias, which is code for we're gonna cancel it. Okay, she's right on that. We're gonna cancel it. ABC's gonna cancel it. Like, it's a matter of time. I've said this all along. We're just trying to soften you up first, because it's not enough to run the country into the ground. She writes, you have to control what people see, what they hear, what they think. And The View, well, that's just a little too much woman. Okay, so now it's Trump's fault, and it's men's fault. Just so we're on the same page, so we get where she's going. Well, that's too much woman, a little too much truth, a little too much joy. Behar saying, I don't think the insurrection was a tourist visit, Karen. Apparently, the truth is dangerous now. Wow. Like, have you ever watched the show? Like, it's like their crazy little version of truth. I mean, remember they had to read like 4 notes in one day? They kept having to read these legal notes because they kept saying things that were totally, utterly wrong. I mean, so she goes on here. It's like 4 pages. So she said, I've done The View twice. I know how hard it is to get 4 women to agree on lunch, let alone politics. So don't tell me The View is some radical leftist threat. This isn't about bias. This is about obedience. This is about removing any program that doesn't align with Trumpism. Oh my gosh. Saw fascism in full lashes with commercial breaks. Okay, that's kind of funny. First they came for the journalists, then the educators, then the librarians. Now it's Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. It would be funny if it weren't so terrifying, she writes, because when the only voices left on TV are nodding along to the conspiracy theories, we are not a democracy anymore. We are a dictatorship in good lighting. Wow. It's like I mean, like, how can you watch that show, guys, and actually think that show is anything other than totally biased? I mean, the bias is off the charts on that show. She's on and on and on. When they cancel The View, who on the left is going to be able to say this is insane? When they label truth as bias and disagreement as danger, and they start scrubbing the airwaves. I mean, gosh, she sounds like I sounded a little bit during the Biden years, because during the Biden years, you really weren't able to say things. Like, let's just be perfectly honest and call a spade, right? It was nuts. I had to come up with a euphemism when I talked about that virus that you weren't supposed to talk about, right? I refer to it still to this day as March 2020. The left was rabid. I mean, remember Chuck Schumer going after Tucker Carlson? I actually think that is one of the reasons Tucker lost his gig. I mean, maybe one of the reasons I went a little too far. You couldn't say that March 2020 was a political thing. Oh, that was not allowed, remember? I mean, fine. Heck, I'm in the Mediterranean doing my show here live today, so all's well that ends well. I'd take this trade any day of the week, right? And being able to be independent has enabled me to be able to say whatever I want to say. So, okay, maybe they can't say what they want on The View, but hey, guess what, Rosie? They can go hang out a shingle, start a podcast. Oh, wait, but nobody would listen. Nobody would watch, because who would actually want to see that? Like, let's just be honest. Again, who would tune in to the likes of Joy Behar joining on and on, or Sunny, whatever her name is, on and on about how much they hate Trump? I mean, it gets a little bit old after a while. And what did Bob Iger request that they do? Bob specifically went to them alongside the ABC News president, alongside the executive producer for the show, and he asked the ladies, hey, maybe we could cover some entertainment news. They don't want to cover the entertainment news. No, they want to stick to politics. The problem is they've been totally wrong on politics, and they're obviously out of sync with the American public. But, you know, Rosie's giving them cover here, because when they get fired, they're going to say, oh, it's Trump's fault, just like they predicted, right? Watch.
So you said recently that you thought that you, as an outspoken critic, could be a target yourself. Some people think that sounds overdramatic, but I'm right there with you. I think that he is so vindictive that he will go after, however he has to, through the IRS maybe, or even, you know, through sponsors to get us off the air maybe, or you. Yeah. How seriously should we be taking that?
Well, so I was asked, am I worried about me? And my answer was, I'm worried about all of us. I'm no more worried about me than I am worried about everybody in the country. I think it's bad to have somebody saying, give me as much power as you can in this country so I can use it to go after other Americans. So I can use it to go after these subhuman internal enemies, and I'll destroy them. Like, that's just not a good system for anybody. And I don't think anybody's safe if that's the sort of basis on which he wants to get more power.
Well, remember when Nixon had an enemies list? That was a proud moment for a lot of people if they were on the enemies list. Maybe we need to turn it around like that.
Well, I think that if he decides that he's going to go after you or me or anybody who's well known, you know, we have resources, we'll likely be fine. But I think there's a pattern where he picks out individual people and effectively terrorizes them.
But
I mean, there's Stormy Daniels wearing a bulletproof vest to get into
it's ridiculous.
The courthouse, right?
Once you have political violence, you have fascism following that. So
Of course you do. I mean, but you know, we've been hearing it over and over and over again. It's really weird. It's like they're so upset. They do not like that he won. So now, you know, they don't have Russia, Russia, Russia. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. Like their line now is dictatorship, dictatorship, dictatorship. And it's like, guys, come on. I mean, one, they can't ever take a joke. And two, the minute somebody says anything that disputes their point of view, they try and shut it down. And so now they're going to the dictatorship. And we went through the Russian hoax thing. They were already back then saying, not our president. I mean, it was really, you want to talk about, you know, people talking about who won the election, et cetera, et cetera. Hillary Clinton started all that. We have watched that. I will not play that for you again today, I promise. Maybe tomorrow. But we've seen the soundbite, you know, the full 10 minutes that they have of Jimmy Carter and Hillary Clinton and everyone out there spinning that Obama narrative of, oh, Donald Trump didn't really win in 2016 because it was the Russians who helped him. I mean, that's a heck of a thing to say. Think about that. That's awful. It's absolutely awful. Oh, and guess where she said it? Dun, dun, dun. The View, of course. It's like, you know, you just call up your friends at The View and you get New York Times and Washington Post on speed dial if you're part of this operation, Democrat operation controlling the media airways, and they do your bidding. Here was Hillary.
There is no denying that the Russians interfered in the election. Whether or not they had willing or unwitting help from the Trump team, they interfered, and they did so to help him and hurt me. And they did so to destabilize our democracy, and they have not stopped. I mean, there's been enough public testimony before Congress now by very distinguished, experienced intelligence professionals who all say the same thing. This is a clear and present danger to our country. And I think it's important, and I would say this.
Okay, so Rosie O'Donnell has now come out and said what I've said all along. and that is this show is going away. And so the executives at this point, they're going through things. They're doing allegedly this bias review because they're trying to offer up something different that doesn't just smack of so much bias. I mean, Brandon the Carr was talking about this recently, specifically as it related to The View, because he said he thought The View could be in a little bit of trouble. And when you look at what CBS is doing, for example, part of their settlement with Donald Trump after the 60 Minutes Kamala Harris debacle of an interview where they actually made her sound like she could string a sentence together. Well, what did they do? They decided in that settlement to make sure that they were better diversified, right? In terms of their news value. I mean, the View has a problem because they're on FCC-controlled airwaves, meaning all those ABC affiliates are all around the country. By the way, they don't even want to take the show. Like, who would want to take that show? You're paying for that show. It's like, really? Do I have to take The View? They would much rather do their own local news produced version of The View with their own local news personalities and covering local issues that will be far less costly. And by the way, probably more relevant, right, to all of those local communities. So Brendan Carr knows this, and he's put ABC on notice, and he specifically called out The View for their bias, as the White House said, well, you know, this show is filled, I think the quote was, with a bunch of losers. I think that's what he said. Here, let's play it.
Let's go to The View, shall we? Joy Behar yesterday said this.
First of all, who tried to overthrow the government on January 6th?
Wait, let me think. Who
was that again? That was not Obama. The thing about him is that he's so jealous of Obama because Obama is everything that he is not.
Yeah.
Trim.
Yeah.
Smart. Handsome.
Happily
married, and can sing Al Green's song, Let's Stay Together, better than Al Green.
Yeah.
And Trump cannot stand it. It's driving him crazy. Jealousy is not green is not a good color.
That from yesterday. Who knows what happens today? The White House chose to respond to that. And this is what they said. Joy Behar is an irrelevant loser suffering from a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. It's no surprise that The View's ratings hit an all-time low last year. She should self-reflect on her own jealousy of President Trump's historic popularity before her show is the next to be pulled off air, end quote. Is The View now in the crosshairs of this administration?
Look, it's entirely possible that there's issues over there. I mean, again, stepping back, this broader dynamic, once President Trump has exposed these media gatekeepers and smashed this facade, there's a lot of consequences. I think the consequences of that aren't quite finished. And look, The View's got a lot of challenges there. It wasn't that long ago, I think one episode, one show alone, they had to stop, interrupt the show, and read 4 separate legal notices to try to avoid legal liability. So I'm not surprised to hear people saying that their ratings are struggling.
Wow. Sir, where does this end then?
Look, I think we need a course correction. You know, it's time for America's legacy broadcasters to return to promoting the public interest. And just recently, Skydance, which is looking to acquire CBS, wrote letters to the FCC committing to serious change, to trying to root out bias, to putting in place an ombudsman that would address these issues, to returning to unbiased, trustworthy journalism. That's where we have to go. And I think we're getting some wins along the way. It's trust but verify at the end of the day. You know, we're not where we need to go. But I think this legacy media
he's
really
totally right. So, you know, this is contributing to all of this right now. The fact that CBS and its new merger, right, Paramount and Skydance doing that merger, has now committed to this idea that they're going to get away from that particular bias. And that's all you've got on that show. The dominant personalities being Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Houston, and Ana Navarro. And they're all just sitting there bashing Trump all day long, every day. And now they're on hiatus. Maybe they have some time to think about it. Thank you, AJ. Appreciate it. You're funny. He writes, 1 million subs. Nearly. And The View's going away. How great is this, right? It is great. It is great. It shows you, by the way, that people are seeking out alternatives. All right. So they're, you know, here I am. I got a camera and a laptop and a little ring light. And I'm in the middle of the Mediterranean and I'm doing this show because I can't not do it. Right. We're nearly at 1 million subs. And so, you know, I'm a one-man band in that There's no substitute to come on a day that I might be off. So I'm here with you guys again. And we've been doing this day in and day out for like almost the last 2 years. And now we're coming up on 1 million subs. A lot of people say, Trish, you should have more by now. I think so too. Okay, so do your part. Subscribe if you're just joining us right now. Share the show if you could, guys. Make a comment in the comments below. I do read all of them. I'm seeing what you're writing here in the live format. I almost said live TV, but this is not TV. We are streaming. This is a whole different kind of thing. This is the Trish Regan Show podcast. And for the first time in my career, you know what? I actually own my content. I've worked in the news business at all the networks. So again, I understand. And Rosie's not wrong when she says they're reviewing this. You better believe they're reviewing it. Not really for bias. I mean, they'll say that, but they're reviewing it from a cost perspective and analysis, right? Because does this make economic sense to keep this show on the air, to pay Whoopi and Joy all these giant salaries? Does it make sense? Probably not. Because you get the live studio audience, you get the big salaries for that many women, you've got all the producers, all the cameras. Like, it's a big operation. This is the problem with Stephen Colbert, right? He was losing. The predictions were somewhere between 30 and 40. Some suggested perhaps even more. Let's just call it tens of millions of dollars, multiple numbers of tens of millions of dollars every year. You can't stay in business that way. So from the View's perspective, you know, they're going to sit there and they're going to point fingers at Trump. I suspect really this is coming down to a cost-benefit analysis. And Disney is looking at the thing and saying, do we really need this? The local stations, they don't even want it. And the threat now is that you could actually see someone like Brendan Carr at the FCC take away the ability for those affiliates to get that ABC affiliation. And that's sort of what's being threatened. And that's a pretty big deal. So I would say that the problem is they don't have enough of both sides on The View. They've tried. They have that one woman. She was like a never Trumper too. And it's just not enough. It's not enough. And, you know, and the reality is the industry's changed. Like, who the heck is sitting around at 11 o'clock in the morning to watch The View? The advantage here is, first of all, this is interactive. Right. So, I mean, we're going to have a day when you guys can, like, you know, I was going to say Skype in. I guess we don't even Skype anymore. But you'll jump in maybe on video at some point. I'm looking at your comments, as I mentioned, all in real time. So this is like sort of 3D. Don Becca, good to see you here. He's pointing at 923 Reganites. If we're going to call, well, you know, we're going to find a name for ourselves. We're getting there, Don. We're really, really getting there. As I said, it gets harder as you get close to that level. People have told me, you know, when you're approaching 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. I remember this when we were going towards 100,000 subs. It felt like it took forever to get there, but we eventually did, and it kind of took off after that. And now we're kind of in that position again where it's getting challenging, but we will get there, guys, and it's going to be a giant party, right? I'd love to be in the Mediterranean for it, but I suspect I'll be home before then. Anyway, Nisi, thank you right there. I appreciate that. But the point is, who's sitting around watching television, old-fashioned television, at 11 in the morning, where it's just all output, right? No 3D or two-way conversation there. And I think that that's just changed dramatically. Again, you can get this all day long, you know, for the next however many years. I mean, this episode, this live episode, lives on forever. And you're seeing this all over. Like, it's not just The View, right? Look at these numbers. We've been talking about this. It was a miserable ratings week for cable last week. I mean, wow. I mean, when even Fox is down 41%, that's telling you a lot. MSNBC down 58%. I believe that's in demo, though. So overall, down 40% at MSNBC, down 44% for overall primetime viewers. You look at the daytime numbers, those are not good. I mean, they're getting 359,000 over there on CNN. 359,000. I mean, heck, we may wind up getting more than that on this one single show. Certainly in a given day, we're doing millions, right? So granted, it's a different medium. I get it. I actually think it's a better medium, frankly, for advertisers, because it's more specific than a cable show where, you know, of course, you're just going to change the channel as soon as the commercial comes on. I'm sorry. But like, so again, it's just a different medium, and it's kind of dying out. And The View's going to be the victim of that. They'll tell you it's Trump. Rosie O'Donnell will tell you it is Trump. But here's the thing. It's them. Okay, it's them plus it's the changing vehicle, right? That people are going and getting news and opinion in different ways. And it's more immediate, it's more back and forth. Yeah, we've got over 5,000 watching. It's amazing, right? I mean, and those numbers will climb, piece of my mind, as the day goes on. And so what you actually wind up seeing is that you're able to reach more people here. When I was in the airport, I was so shocked because 2 people came up to me. In the old days, it was always like I saw you on CNBC or Bloomberg or MSNBC or I actually, when I was at CNBC, had to occasionally go on MSNBC and explain the economy and taxes and stuff like that to them. But people would see me on those other vehicles. And this is the first time now, recently, like people have started to come up to me and say, hey, I watch you on YouTube. I watch a podcast every day. And I'm like, wow, like that really is kind of telling. Like it's really pretty telling. So again, do your part. Share, like, subscribe, all that, and know that you're part of a trend. You're part of a shift. This is history in the making. These ratings over at these networks are terrible, and they're terrible for a reason, because no one can stand to be lied to. And that's how I think the American public really feels about all those places.